Okay, here we are in COP28 with Iman, one of our youth leaders who was just with us in Montreal for Youth Engagement Week. Iman, welcome to COP. How are you doing?
Thanks so much, Daniel. I'm doing great. It's really great to be here to see all the energy and see all the great work that's happening.
That's fantastic. Well, we were just with you a few weeks ago in Montreal, and you talked about so many ways in which we can promote youth engagement and how important it was to get youth's voice heard at the table. Is youth being heard here at the COP from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, so I think while I've been sitting in on negotiations, I've been particularly following the just transition negotiations. They definitely are very adult-centered. I'm happy to see that some of the negotiators are fairly young, so we're getting some youth voice in that way. And also I'm part of Youngo, which is the UNFCCC youth constituency, and we've had a voice at those negotiations as well. So I think we're definitely getting there. I think the conversation is happening, and we have some sort of youth interjections within these negotiations, but I think that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Fantastic. Well, I've seen youth all over COP so far here at the Canadian Pavilion. There have been several panels already. I've seen Indigenous youth panels as well. This is a really exciting moment for youth, as I see it. What do you think is the main ask from the youth movement here at COP?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a couple of main asks that we have, related to all the specific negotiating points that are happening. But I think the number one thing that youth want to see is actually action. I think COP's a place where you get a lot of promises from world leaders, you get a lot of promises from these international organizations, but when it comes to actually following up on these promises and following up on the actions that they're taking, we have to wait till next year to do that. So essentially, I think a lot of youth are really hoping for is a promise and action here at this COP within these 2 weeks.
For youth, sometimes it seems overwhelming to come all the way across the world to an event like COP. Do you feel overwhelmed, or are you fitting right in with what's going on?
So overwhelmed. I think just the sheer amount of people that are here, the sheer amount of events. I was talking to somebody and there's 1,000 events going on an hour, so it's really hard to pick where you want to divide your time. So I think there's a lot of planning and a lot of looking at your specific priorities. So I chose just transition, but there are so many other things that I want to follow. But I think just to make sure that you're not overwhelmed with everything that's happening, it's really important to focus in on exactly what you're interested in.
So you're overwhelmed, but would you recommend to others to come to COP and voice their concerns and opinions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think COP's a really great place because it's a really well-connected place. I've met so many great people who are the leads of their organizations and are the people who have that decision-making power. So I think youth need to be included in those discussions and have access to those people who have those decision-making powers. Because if not, they're not going to. I think a lot of organizations don't actively seek out youth voice. So I think COP is a great place to connect with the CEO of a company in the coffee line, for example, or go to a panel and have youth voice heard there in the negotiation. So I think it's so important to have youth at COP, and I would love to call upon the next presidency or wherever COP is next year to have more youth presence with funding, with badges, to make sure that youth are 100% here and engaged.
Fantastic. And tell me a little bit about your own work, your own organization, and what you're devoted to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a student at Western University in Canada, but I am also the co-founder of Green Umma, which is an organization focused on bringing education about the environment to marginalized communities all across Canada. So we develop curriculums focused on EJ, about reaching different faith-based groups and other marginalized communities in Canada, and we provide this education about how to be an environmental advocate and an environmental activist. Every single classroom that we're taught in gets a grant to go out into nature spaces and really connect. So it's that entire journey of having a relationship with nature and then becoming an environmental activist within your own community. And that's sort of the work that I've been doing. Also, I'm working on the Youth Climate Corps campaign in Canada to get a Youth Climate Corps in Canada. So I'm very excited about all the work that's being done here and my own work back in Canada as well.
That's fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, first in Montreal during Youth Engagement Week and now here at COP. So final word from you to the audience, to other youth that are out there. I'll leave it, the last word to you.
Yeah, my last word is just keep going. This is a really difficult like conference to navigate. It's a really difficult time with the way that things are going in climate change, but to just keep going with the work that you're doing. I've been so inspired by every single person that I've met here, which is like not something that you're able to say like very often. So I think that there's a lot of really great work being done, and if you have an idea and if you have work that you're doing in your own community, just keep on going. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Iman.